with Kevin Nash breaking his silence and more. This is Wrestling Up. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report for October 24th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. When it comes to live streaming for pro wrestling, independent promotions may have another outlet, as it was reported that the landscape for several independent promotions could be changing. Fightful has learned that multiple prominent independent promotions have reached deals to air on FITE Plus in an expanded deal. FITE has been a significant platform for promotions of all sizes for several years. We haven't learned whether or not there will be additional price points, packages, or details, as right now most events are available there 30 days after airing. It was largely implied to us that several indies would be joining as a live streaming option for one price point of the subscription. We're told there will be multiple announcements in November. We inquired with GCW about whether or not this is where they're headed, but we're given a comical non-answer of WWE is going to FITE Plus. Asked about the first job he had, Cody Rhodes replied on Twitter, recalling a funny story of how he also got fired. Einstein Bros, you were allowed one bagel a shift. I went into the dining area 4 times a day with a cinnamon sugar bagel toasted with honey almond spread and called out, William, toasted bagel. There was no William. It was for me. I was terminated. Love that place though forever. On Storytime with Dutch Mantel, the pro wrestling legend himself spoke about Bray Wyatt returning to WWE, saying, I'm still not the biggest fan of Bray, but it's not up to me to set the market value. It's up to fans. And what I'm saying, if you like Bray Wyatt, more power to you. But I don't think, other than his merchandise sales, which is astronomical I heard, I don't think he added that much to the live gates or the pay-per-view base, because he would just go in the ring and just beat guys up. Where's the heat in that? There's no heat. I mean, he didn't, but he just beat guys. So how are you gonna boo a guy that basically just beat another guy straight up? What are you mad about? Nothing. You just beat him. So that was the only problem I saw with him. Despite getting his Rusev Day shtick over with the fans, Lana explained why Vince McMahon pulled the plug on Miro's run, as she told in The Click. The simplest way of putting it, for all the listeners that might not be as familiar with wrestling, is Vince McMahon was the director, the Steven Spielberg of our show. I think at the end of the day, Vince loves Miro as a villain. So that was really the bottom line of the struggle, was he wanted him to be his Bulgarian brute, 300 pounds, crazy killing. It was his company, still is, and that was his creative vision. And I think that was always the conflict of it all, really, to come down to the bottom line. I can have a ton of opinions, but it's show business at the end of the day. Mentioning the possibility of returning to his broken persona, Matt Hardy revealed on his Extreme Life podcast, I think there's a chance. It's not out of the realm of possibility. It could definitely happen. We'll see. It's going to be really interesting to see how this scenario with myself and the firm ends up playing out. Let it play out. We know this might lead to me being broken. I mean, you always gotta evolve. You always gotta freshen up. I mean, you just can't do reruns. Much like how professional wrestling is 52 weeks a year, new first content. We don't do reruns in wrestling. You always have to move the story forward. You always have to evolve, and the same thing goes when you revisit a different character. Hardy would also note this in regards to hanging up his boots eventually. I don't know. In all honesty, I can see myself retiring with AEW. I love being here, love the family feel that it has, and I love just the lack of horse and bullshit. You know, it's pretty much straightforward, and Tony is really good with working with people and remembering they're human beings, especially people that have families and allowing them to take time off and address issues that there may be. So he's great with that, and he works around people's schedules and whatnot. So I love AEW, and I'm very cool spending the rest of my career at AEW. With that being said, I love WWE as well, and I think it's a big positive that Triple H has taken over and has been in charge, and I would imagine it's going to continue to change as it evolves over the next few years with him at the helm. When asked about his squash match against Brock Lesnar from 2019 where he lost the WWE title in seconds, Kofi Kingston told NBC Sports Boston, "I have no idea. I don't really dwell on the why. There are a lot of things in the industry that you look at sometimes and go, why did that happen? You just move on, and the wheel keeps on turning. For me to dwell on what happened in that match with Brock Lesnar doesn't serve me any purpose. It's not going to make me better or change what happened or do anything besides make me feel bad. I'm not going to let it do that. I have a lot more career left to handle. It's a scenario where it's a rare and unique opportunity to be on this roster. As far as my run being WWE champion, I got to go 6 months, almost to the day. That is a very long reign. If you look back at how many current champions have had a reign of 6 months or more, it's Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley, Roman Reigns, and myself. You can't be mad at that. All the great rivalries I had were great. Going up against Kevin Owens, Dolph Ziggler, he and I fought for the Intercontinental Championship, Samoa Joe. We got to show some personality and go up against some of the greats. AJ Styles at the beginning, Randy Orton, tying everything together, seeing I was in for a push in 2009 and having a rivalry with Randy, and it didn't work out. To be able to button that up was great. I enjoyed my title run. I enjoyed every single moment of it because I know how rare it is to be in that championship role. You embrace it. Talking about who he'd like to see return to WWE, Kingston noted, I would have said Bray Wyatt. I would have said Bray if he didn't debut last week. But I don't know, man. Off the top of my head, there are just so many people. Even people that haven't been here in WWE, I would love to see in WWE. There is so much talent. I've said it before, but this is a real special time in wrestling. There's just so much talent out there. Especially with Triple H at the helm right now, we are going to have a lot more surprises. We are going to have a lot more moments of people coming back. We are really tickling the people's fancy and giving them what they want. And that is a great thing to be a part of. Recalling his departure from WWE, DDP revealed on Busted Open Radio that he turned down another role in the company, saying, "When I left in 2002, I was so burnt out. Kevin Dunn asked me to go and do a test to be an announcer. They wanted me to do a spot, so I did it. I went up there to WWE HQ in Stamford, and I did it. Kevin called me back. He goes, I love it. We're going to start you, not with SmackDown. We're going to start you with the satellite for the first month or two. You get your feet wet, you'll be on SmackDown. In no time, you're going to be on Raw." Talking about why Bron Breakker did not carry on the Steiner name into WWE, Shawn Michaels told comicbook.com, "I think Bron is going to be incredibly successful no matter what you want to call him. He's a very bright, talented, unbelievably wonderful young man. I'll say this, I think now he's established Bron Breakker pretty darn well. Let's put it this way. What we wanted to make sure that we did in NXT is not run from it or pretend like it wasn't there. And I think that's what has helped him. I think made that transition into a new name and character a bit easier. We didn't pretend like it wasn't there and he wasn't a Steiner by bringing his father out and making reference to who he was and where he came from. I think that's made it a little bit easier." During an interview with Fightful, former WWE star Lana revealed Vince McMahon's previous plans to get Nia Jax over as a babyface, as she said. CJ said not only did she not believe she was being punished for Miro joining AEW in the Nia Jax table storyline, but that she actually pushed for the angle to happen. In fact, she and Liv Morgan went back and forth over who would be the one who got to participate in that angle. However, it was originally Vince McMahon's plan to use the repeated table spots as a catalyst to get Nia Jax over as a babyface before it went the other way. Talking about how she helps WWE more as a heel, Becky Lynch said this at the NYCAW panel. You have so much freedom in that you can do anything. You can have fun. If people don't like you, well, I'm doing my job. If people like you, well, you're so entertaining. How could they not? It's a lot easier and more fun in that aspect. Being a babyface, I think I tend to naturally fall into, especially because honestly, I'm not the greatest athlete in the world, and my story of perseverance has registered with a lot of people and fans. They can get behind the underdog who has to overcome. When it comes to the business and wrestling as a whole and women's wrestling, I feel I can be of help by being a heel. When you're a babyface, it's all about you and how good you look and how we make the audience like you the most. When you're a heel, it's all about how you make the babyface look good and how you can get people invested and want to see this person win. I feel I have enough equity with the audience that I'm able to help a babyface, and that just helps women's wrestling when people get more equity and exposure, and that drives the business forward. I like both, but I like being a heel. I think everyone likes being a heel. With his son Tristan passing away recently at only 26 years of age, Kevin Nash broke his silence on the matter, saying this on his podcast. The seizure caused a cardiac arrest. He was basically dead in his room on the floor with the EMT working on him. And they got him back. They got him in the ambulance and trying to save his life. So to the people at Halifax Hospital, doctors and nurse, I thank you. It was a situation where we both went cold turkey. I don't think either of us felt great because you stop drinking coffee for a day and you get a headache. I think we were both dealing with it. But also because we're so close to the cruise lines here that norovirus stuff is always prevalent. With the Wrestling Shoot interview YouTube channel, former WWE star Val Venus accused Randy Orton of pushing a former Diva Search contestant out of the company, which is where the infamous story of Orton allegedly defecating in a female's bag comes from. While Venus would deny this, he did mention another story, saying, "I know Randy had some issues with one of the girls from the Diva Search, and when we went to Hawaii, Japan, Alaska, then Alaska back to LA, and in Alaska that girl quit because of Randy. We were all sitting around a steak and they brought our steak. And to make it look like the plate they put in front of him was exactly what he ordered, but he picks up the steak with his 2 fingers and he goes, 'What the hell is this?' to the waitress and tosses the piece of steak at her." And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.